Then we have a bunch of injection opportunities we're gonna teach you and medications. Okay, so let's start with the topical. 23%, 7%, there it is. I know I don't look at my slides much, but actually look at them a lot more than you think. I'm just a well-trained professional. I need them, otherwise I get stuff confused. Okay, 23, 7%, lidocaine, tetracaine. The key is make sure it's plasticized. What is plasticized? What does that even mean? Plasticized is referring to how it's emulsified in the solution. Think of it as about Vaseline type consistency, Vaseline. So a plasticized gel is like Vaseline. That is different than a cream. Why does that matter? Because of the level of occlusiveness. You guys remember back in the 80s when everyone used sweatsuits? Okay, you wouldn't breathe, you'd wear these rubber suits and you go jog and, right? And you wouldn't breathe at all and the pores open and you sweat like crazy. That's what occlusion does. Anything under occlusion causes pores to open. The uptake of the material sitting on the skin is far greater. So a cream is gonna absorb in the skin and not be nearly as efficient as our plasticized gel. Plasticized is Vaseline. It's occlusive, more occlusive, and takes longer to absorb. So because it's occlusive, pores open, uptake is better, you get a better numbing. So make sure it's plasticized gel. If your practice is anything like my practice, when it came to the topical, I would order from the same pharmacy. I try to do local compounding pharmacy. And do you guys have the blue dot tops? Do you know what I'm talking about? She's saying, yeah. You don't know what I'm talking about. This is an MCS thing. The blue dot tops, you have those too? Here's what I mean. On the top, my team would take a Sharpie and they'd put a little blue dot. That was the good one. And the team would secretly stash that in a drawer somewhere that they wouldn't let our patients, our paying patients, use. So when the girls all want to get their lips done, their own lips done, they would go to the blue dot top, right? Because that's the one that actually works real good. Do you guys have the blue dot tops? And what never made any sense to me is I would get from the same pharmacy, the same batch, and some of it would be gritty and sandy and separated, and some of it would work awesome. I never understood why. It has to do with the particle size, how they pulverize particles, and how well it stays into suspension. And not everyone has equipment to get it into a particle size fine enough to stay in suspension, so that's when you get the gritty, sandy oil on top, medicine on bottom. So if you have a blue dot top, because you got the good, this is the actual good one that your staff is using on themselves and not your paying patients, hit that QR code, go to Customer X, they'll get you topical numbing. Or our main guy out here, there's some numbing out there. Manatee Pharmacy does an excellent job as well. Okay, so then occlude when able. What does that mean? Well, if I'm doing an abdomen, wrap it in saran wrap, or a leg. We've got a Costco size, Sam size bucket of saran wrap. And you just wrap it because that occlusion will help. Now that is difficult to do on the face when we're talking Morpheus. So the only reason why you may consider that is if it's a patient you don't like, then you can occlude, but otherwise probably a no-no, right? Okay, so I'll let you determine occlusion or not on the face, but Amazon, I hear, does make hole cuts, eye cutouts, if you want to occlude on someone's face, but at minimum, make sure it's plasticized. 45 minutes is the key. 45 minutes, I'm going to say this, so listen up. 45 minutes is better than 30. Okay, something about that is magic. I have no science to back this up, but 45 minutes is definitely better than 30. 1 hour is no better than 45. That's confusing, so I'll say it again. 45 minutes is better than 30. An hour is no better than 45. An hour and a half is no better than 45. So something about that 45 is the magic, in my experience. So you want to leave the topical on for 45 minutes. Here is your max dosages. 5 grams per application, which is a 6-inch squeeze out of a tube per application, or 20 grams a day, okay? So everybody starts here. Everyone gets topical. Everybody gets topical. A way to make this quicker, I showed you this in the Morpheus lecture, so I'm not gonna go over it again, but is that cryotherapy to help. It's on that QR code, and this allows us to numb patients in 5 minutes instead of 45 minutes. Okay, so everyone starts there. That's where we all live, and maybe that's where you're happy to camp out. I don't want you to leave here for a second and think you have to do all this crazy stuff and disenfranchise you and think, oh my gosh, like there's no way I can do all this. That's if you just want to hit up the Manatee table and get that good numbing out there and call it a day, call it a day. But you know you got one of two options. If your patient's not tolerating it, back down your settings, or this is where we start upping our level of anesthesia right here. This is with injections. Okay, so what do we inject? I inject 1% with 1 to 100,000 epi and a 1 to 10 ratio of bicarb. That's a lot, so let's walk through this. So it's simple lido with epi, and then I add bicarb to up the pH. The epi is very acidic, and it burns like crazy, so adding bicarb will help alter the acidity of your epinephrine. So it's tolerated well. So 1 to 10 ratio means this. If you have a 10 cc syringe, 9 of it's gonna be your lido with epi, 1 cc is gonna be your bicarb.